My grandmother ran Legrande's fish camp for 41 years, and she died with a secret I am still working out the shape of. She was a practical woman. She kept the camp ledger in a green logbook with a cracked spine, updated it in pencil every Sunday evening, and never left a guest account unsettled. When a pipe froze or a boat motor seized, she fixed it herself before breakfast and said nothing about it to anyone. That was her way. She did not complain and she did not explain. You learned what you needed to know by watching what she did with her hands. There were two things she did that I could not explain as a child. The first was the key. One key in the whole camp, never hung on the board behind the front desk. Cabin 7. She kept it in the front pocket of her work pants every day, whether we had guests or not. I asked her once why we never rented Cabin 7. She said the foundation was soft and she did not want the liability. That sounded reasonable. I was 9. I believed her. The second thing was the mattresses. Not after every guest, just after certain ones. She would wait until a particular party checked out, and then she would drag the mattresses from Cabin 7 down to the burn pile herself. She never asked for help. She was 63 years old, dragging a full mattress through the mud, and she would not let me touch it. I told myself it was a sanitation thing. I told myself a lot of things. She left me the camp when she died. She left me the camp and the ledger, and a note that said simply, "Do not refuse them." I did not know who she meant, not right away. The ledger went back to 1961. I went through it mostly out of sentiment, reading her handwriting, finding the names of people I half remembered from childhood visits. And then I found the pattern, not blood, not a hidden room, just ink on paper, and the specific way a person forms the letter V. A name, Voss, appearing every 3 years, like a tide that runs on its own schedule, all the way back to the first page. 62 years of entries, and every single one written in the same hand, not similar. The same pen pressure on the downstroke. The same way the double S curved at the end. My grandmother's handwriting changed 4 times over 62 years. I have the proof in every other entry. Her letters loosened as she aged, then tightened again when her arthritis set in, but the Voss entries never changed. That was the last ordinary thing I understood. Legrande sits on a dead-end channel off the Atchafalaya, surrounded by cypress on 3 sides and slow brown water on the 4th. Guests come by road or they come by boat, and most of the regulars have their own motors and know the channel by feel. When the Voss party arrived for the first time under my management, I heard the boat before I saw it. A flat-bottom aluminum hull, a small outboard, the kind of quiet motor that does not announce itself. 3 passengers, an older woman in a gray dress sitting very straight in the bow, a man behind her who did not move for the entire approach, and a teenage girl in the stern who was watching me from the moment the boat came around the bend. Not the camp, me. The older woman did the talking. Her name was Colette Voss. She said it as if correcting a mistake I had not yet made. She asked about Cabin 7. I told her it was available. She said she knew. They paid in cash. Old bills. Nothing consecutive. The man did not speak at all during check-in. The teenage girl stood outside on the dock and watched the water with her hands folded behind her back, and she did not move until the older woman called to her. Even then she turned slowly, as if the water had said something she needed to finish hearing. I have tried to explain what I noticed over the next 4 days. I cannot get it to come out in the right order, because the wrongness did not arrive in order. It came in pieces, each one small enough to dismiss. They did not use the boat lantern. They left at dark without a light, and returned before 6 in the morning with the hull wet and the bilge smelling of something I cannot name. Copper, maybe. Something warmer than copper. The man ate nothing. not at the fish fry my neighbor put on, not from anything I offered. He stood in conversations with a patience that felt like restraint. The teenage girl asked me one evening how long my grandmother had owned the camp. I told her 41 years. She nodded slowly, as if adjusting a number in her head. Then she asked if my grandmother had been afraid of the water. I said no, my grandmother loved the water. The girl said she knew. She said it like a correction. The part I have never told anyone comes next. On the last morning, I went to cabin 7 to check the linens before they checked out. The door was unlocked. I should have waited. I did not. The room smelled of creek water and cold iron, and something underneath both of those. Something warm and organic I could not place. Both beds were made. Both surfaces were smooth, but on the windowsill, set upright against the glass, was a photograph. Black and white, rectangular. A woman I recognized as my grandmother, younger, standing on the dock in front of cabin 7. She was smiling at the camera. She had her arm around the teenage girl. They were the same height. The girl was wearing the same gray dress she had worn to check in 3 days ago. The photograph was dated on the back in ink that had faded but not disappeared. Summer 1974. The girl in the photograph and the girl who had just spent 4 days in cabin 7 were the same person. I was still holding the photograph when I heard the boat motor start up. I did not go down to the dock. I stood in that room for a long time after the sound of the engine faded into the channel. Then I opened the window and breathed the outside air. I did not call anyone. I did not know who I would call or what I would say. I put the photograph in my pocket. When I finally went back to the office, I opened the ledger to a fresh page. I wrote the date. I wrote the name Voss. I wrote cabin 7, 4 nights, paid in full. I do not know why I did that. Or I do know, and I am not ready to say it yet. They will be back in 3 years. I know this because 62 years of entries tell me so. And I know something else now, something my grandmother must have understood for a very long time. There is a reason she never refused them. There is a reason cabin 7 had its own key. There is a reason she burned the mattresses herself and never let anyone help. She was protecting something. I just do not know yet whether it was us or them.